I would say the vision for the future that I see for young adult justice is the absence of or a great diminishment of a justice system. Um, Going back to the work of Edwin Scher in 1973, who wrote a book called Radical Non-Intervention, and he said some of the most effective policies for dealing with juvenile delinquency have nothing to do with delinquency. And I think to take a historical perspective, again, a lot of what's happening with young people and the reason why they find themselves kind of perpetually involved in justice systems is really about a lack of opportunity on the other side. So it's a lack of opportunity to be connected to pro-social peers, a lack of opportunity to be connected to pro-social adults, lack of opportunity to be educationally stimulated in ways that would cause them to seek greater things, and lack of employment opportunities. And I really believe that if you were to build those things around young people, probably anywhere from 80 to 90 to 95% of the young adults that we currently see in the justice system would not need to be there, or would not even need to touch it. And so I think that there's, looking historically again at what we've done with justice policy in this country, kind of going back to the 80s and 90s, when we decided that we believed that young people were super predators, and that their families and their communities were inherently deviant, delinquent, and criminal. Those were the words of John DiIulio. That we started to shift the majority of our financial resources into the most punitive and most restrictive and most coercive elements of justice, right? So less after-school programs, more police in schools. Less mentoring programs, more secure facilities. Less counselors, more cops. And that investment in this very coercive system is one that at the same time has bled resources away from the very things that young people need the most to thrive. And so when we think about young people's environments, where they come from, their communities, their families, we see the investment in mass incarceration very much as a disinvestment in communities. Young people, when they get arrested, the communities are losing the people. Not only they're losing the people, they're losing the resources, the money that could be going to their development. We know the numbers right now for one young person in Rikers for a year, $160,000, about the same cost of a adolescent program for 20 kids, 40 kids a year. Kids in the state system or the city system, the costs for juvenile detention now hovering around $300,000 per young person. So a whole lot of money that is leaving communities to go into a justice system apparatus. And then finally, communities lose, I think, the experience of supervising, supporting, and holding young people accountable in the ways that used to happen before I was born, where it wasn't just the job of parents, but it was neighbors, it was aunts and uncles, it was mentors, people around the neighborhood who said, we are going to intervene when we see young people acting up in ways that they shouldn't. And in the past 30 or 40 years, all of that, all of the responsibility and the resources, I think, have dramatically been outsourced to a justice system, right? To the point now where parents, when they have trouble getting their kids to school, will pick up the phone and call the police, right? Or neighbors will see a group of young people on the corner, and they'll do the same thing. And there's this idea often in the communities that we can't handle our own young people, and that idea is kind of echoed a lot in the justice reform, that there's certain young people that are just, they're too bad or too dangerous or too difficult to be handled in the neighborhood. And I think the future is really in reversing the investment in justice systems as the primary mechanism to address these issues. And the solution is to invest money in communities to do the things that communities were always meant to do.